Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Moving OT's Community of Practice. We're very lucky to be joined today by Aimee Nuttall, who's one of our colleagues at Sport for Confidence. So Aimee's worked as an occupational therapist since 2014 within the NHS, social care and in the private sector. And before training to become an OT, Aimee volunteered at local learning disability charity, and she really found her love of supporting people to reach their potential and feel that sense of belonging and have fun. So Aimee's really passionate about breaking down barriers for people to enable them to do the things that they want to do. We all know Aimee within the organisation as someone who can always be found with a crochet hook in her hand, working on some kind of DIY project. She makes some amazing things. So that's one of Aimee's favourite occupations. She's also recently completed a master's degree in mental health recovery and social inclusion. And what Aimee's going to talk to us about today. So in late 2024, Aimee did move from her role kind of co-leading our primary care team to overseeing and leading our Include to Improve programme. So I'll let Aimee tell you a little bit more about that. Thank you for joining us today, Aimee.
Thank you, Lisa. It's a pleasure to be here. So hello, everyone. As Lisa said, I'm Aimee. I'm an occupational therapist at Sport for Confidence. Have been here for almost 3 years now. And as Lisa said, recently moved into the role of programme lead for our Include to Improve programme, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about today and how you as OTs can really help us support us with this. So what is Include to Improve? So this programme ultimately is about creating opportunities for disabled people to take part, volunteer and work in sports and physical activities. It's a 2-year programme and it's led by Activity Alliance as well as us at Sport for Confidence. So it's a joint venture, and it was funded by the Sport England Recover and Reinvent Fund. This fund kind of recognised that disabled people were hit hardest as a result of COVID-19, and the ongoing cost of living crisis continues to impact this population to engage with, volunteer and work in sport and physical activity. So that's where that funding came from. And we know that there's great work already happening in this sector, and we want to find ways of refining and elevating those examples. But we also want to address the barriers that disabled people face already, and do this by listening to lived experiences to ensure that we find creative solutions. So just a little bit about our team. We kind of came together a bit staggered, but around October 2024 the team was formed, and we've been working really hard to kind of get the foundations in place to ensure the success of the programme. The team includes myself, who's the programme lead for Sport for Confidence, and my colleague Emma, who is the strategic lead for Activity Alliance, and we also have 2 programme advisors, Anna and Frankie from Activity Alliance. We also have 2 senior occupational therapists. We have Millie and Megan, and we're really chuffed that we've got 3 peer support workers as well, Suzanne, Isabel and Jess. And you'll also notice in this picture is Pasha, who is Frankie's guide dog, who has very much become part of our team. You'll see here that we rebranded. So we were initially called Recover and Reinvent, because of where the money came from. But when we came together as a team, we decided that we wanted to change our name really to reflect the principles and aims of the programme, which we've done, and you'll see some of our logos and things on the slides, and if you see us on social media. So that was one of the first things we did. We've set up lots of programme management documents of way of working. Obviously, 2 organisations coming together. There's been IT challenges, IT challenges just today with me. So yeah, that's been quite a task actually, bringing that all together. But we've now got a really great shared platform that we all work together on. And we've done a lot of desk research. So we've completed a lot of kind of in-depth and vast range of scoping to really influence our decision making and understanding of the landscape to inform us on the best direction for the development of the network. So I'll speak a little bit later on about the lived experience network that we're creating. And we did quite a lot of research into that and found lots of themes and what our lived experience needed to be. We've also recruited Ask research partners who are assisting us with our evaluation of the programme, the direction, the learnings, and we hope that they can support sustainability of the programme. This is a 2-year programme, but we hope that we can sustain ourselves past that 2 years. So this is just really a bit of an overview. One of the things about this project is from the very beginning, whilst we've got our vision and where we want to go, it's very much a blank page, which has been interesting, but also really exciting. So we know that our end goal is to influence change at a system level, and we want to increase high quality opportunities for disabled people to take part, volunteer and work in sports and physical activities. What we do know we want to do as a starting point is we want to create a lived experience network and a strategic partners network. And these will share information with each other and work collaboratively together to find out what changes or improvements are needed, as well as elevate best practice, sorry. And I'll go into detail about these networks in the next few slides, but it's really about listening to both organisations and disabled people so that we can find those creative solutions. And from listening and learning to those networks, we will facilitate activities with disabled people and organisations from the sport and physical activity sector. And like I said, this is a bit of a blank page at the moment because we want it to be led by our lived experience network and our strategic partners network. But some of the ideas we have are including testing and learning activities, both with the lived experience network and the strategic partners, developing and sharing practical resources, and supporting the delivery of pilot schemes or initiatives. So this is my favourite slide. So this slide is all about the value of occupational therapy being in this programme. So as occupational therapists, we know that being able to take part, volunteer and work in sports and physical activities can enhance occupational performance and outcomes, improve health, well-being, life satisfaction, and create an overall sense of belonging. And at Sport for Confidence, we believe that physical activity and sport empowers individuals, strengthens communities, and inspires organisational, economic and national growth. And we're really passionate about listening to, celebrating and elevating the voices of lived experience. So at Sport for Confidence, we bring all these values and beliefs together and is what we call our model to bring about change and create environments that support and promote participation in sports and physical activity. And we know we can do the same for volunteering and working in this sector. And that's why we're here to play a big part in this programme. And I'm sure I'm speaking to many occupational therapists in the room, and our unique selling point has always been looking at the bigger picture and considering the personal, occupational and environmental factors that impact occupational performance. Sorry, I keep missing out vowels. And like I said, we want to speak to the lived experience network and the strategic partnership network, but we really want to use our skills as OTs to do that as well. So we recognise the many and multi-system level barriers and facilitators of participation, and we have a wide skill set and therapeutic means to identify these. I won't go through all of them, but I've listed some of the right there of, you know, some of the things that can be both barriers and facilitators. And we know, you know, from current research that when we speak to disabled people, they're likely to talk about all these different things that either prevent them or support them into volunteering or employment. And we hope that OTs, we can really use our skill set to find out that information, but also to come up with creative solutions. I mentioned before our peer support workers. We aspire to be innovative, and we're really proud to be working together with peer support workers in this programme. It's a role that's traditionally reserved for mental health spaces. And in fact, if there's anyone in the audience who's working with peer support workers in the sport and physical activity sector, I'd love to hear from you, because I know there's not much out there. So yeah, please do reach out if you're in that space. But we know that the shared values and the complementary skills of occupational therapists and peer support workers is a really powerful partnership, and we believe it has enormous potential to really influence and bring about positive change in all areas of sport and physical activity. And I think having our peer support workers with us, particularly in the lived experience network space, is going to play a really important role in developing those trusting and safe relationships for people to be able to share information, and also to support when we start putting in initiatives and activities. And I guess finally, I talk about these initiatives and finding new ways of working through this programme. And I don't know how many of you have read, but there's an Improving Lives, Saving Money report all about good work for good health. And really, the conclusion is that occupational therapists need to be more accessible, and their presence increase in existing but also new spaces to reduce the disability employment gap. And we hope that, by listening to all these lived experiences of disabled people and organisations, we can evidence current best practice, but also explore new ways of working and evidence that too. So some of the ideas we've had are, do we run a pilot scheme where we place ourselves in job centres? And I actually met with some local job centres yesterday who were really excited about that idea. So yeah, like I say, it's all a bit of a blank page at the minute, but these are our values and the skills that we know we can bring to the programme. So I'm just going to talk to you about the two different networks that we've got. So as I said, we've got the lived experience network, but because we know that listening to disabled people and their lived experiences is absolutely essential to finding solutions and influencing change. We really want to hear from individuals from diverse backgrounds with a wide range of views and experiences. And this doesn't need to be people who are currently physically active or have taken part in anything like this before. And actually at Sport for Confidence, we're really keen to hear from people who are the furthest away from that. The criteria is just that the person is aged 18 or over. Obviously, disabled is quite a wide-ranging term, but we want to hear from anyone who is disabled, considers themselves to be disabled, has a long-term physical, mental health condition or impairment, and this includes people who are neurodivergent or experience social or behavioural difficulties, or it could be a family member, a carer, or a supporter of a disabled person who may need someone to support them to express their views directly or share their experiences. Like I said, we did a big piece of scoping work on lived experience network, and through that we've kind of identified the values that we want our network to have, and that's that we'll listen, learn and work together with members, and we'll provide a range of accessible opportunities and way for them to get involved and share their experiences. So it's not just going to be sending out questionnaires. There might be opportunities to draw pictures, make videos, write stories, all different sorts of ways for people to share their voices. And we want to create an environment where members feel supported. Support was actually the biggest theme that came out of looking at current lived experience networks, and we want to make sure that their voices, lived experience and expertise are valued, and this will include payment for people's time and contributions. And we will create a safe, respectful and trustworthy environment where everyone has the opportunity to feel a sense of belonging, and that the sharing of those experiences will be meaningful and influence change. So we're not just going to ask for people's experiences and thank you very much. They're people who share their experience will have an opportunity to be involved in finding solutions and creating that change. Now, I know many of you in the room will be working with and supporting people who, like I spoke about earlier, are the furthest away from sport and physical activity. And I suppose my ask from you today is that you share the opportunity to join our lived experience with them. Lisa's going to pop a PDF in the chat which is an invitation to the Lived Experience Network. If you do require a different version or an easy read version, please do get in touch with me. But yeah, and you may also wish to get involved yourself. If that's so, you can scan the QR code that's on the screen today, or again, you can follow the invitation. And just so you know as well, there is an option for you to complete the survey. So this link will send you to a survey with an option at the end to join the network, but you can choose to just complete the survey and not join the network, and that will still provide us with really valuable information to inform the programme's next steps. Sorry, my button's not working for my next slide. Bear with me. Here we go. So there may also be some people in the room who would like to join our strategic partner network. So just a little overview about that. Very similar concept. So again, we know we can improve opportunities by listening to, learning from and supporting organisations, but particularly those who want to strengthen their commitment to disabled people's inclusion in sport and physical activities. We really want to invite people who are committed to that to join our network. Any organisation in the Sports and Physical Activity Centre is welcome to join the network, and we will support the network partners to create sustainable, inclusive solutions that empower and engage disabled people. There'll be funding support available for some partners looking to improve their existing services or to turn new ideas into real opportunities. And as part of the strategic partner network, you'll connect regularly with our Lived Experience Network members to help inform the programme's approach. So again, it's about sharing those good practice examples, identifying gaps in delivery and exploring areas for improvement. So if you think yourself or your organisation would like to get involved in this network, again, there's a QR code on the screen which will take you to the survey. Again, you can complete the survey without joining the network. We still really value any feedback or information you can share with us. Lisa will share the next PDF, which is titled the Strategic Partners Network Invite. But yeah, and also, I'm sure you're all working with lots of different partners and organisations. So please do share this with them. We want to hear from big organisations, small organisations, individual people. There's not really any rules about who can and can't join in terms of if you're working in the physical sports and physical activity sector. So that's it from me. This is the email that goes to, this is kind of, again, because we're two organisations working on this programme, the email address that we're using is held with Activity Alliance. But I will put my email in the chat. So if you would like to speak to me directly, please do get in touch. Really, really keen, I suppose, to find out from occupational therapists about how you guys feel you could support this programme. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions or topics of conversation, I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Aimee. That was really interesting to hear more about Include to Improve. I've popped those two links in the chat if people want to check those out. Please let me know if you can't access them. They should be available through one of our Google Drive folders. I'll also see if I can pop a link in the chat to the document that you were talking about in improving life-saving money. Because that's
yes, really I have a copy of it. If not,
brilliant.
But yeah, I think it is available on the RCOT website as well. But yeah, really interesting report around what's needed from occupational therapists to kind of close that gap.
Really justifies our work, doesn't it? If we've got some good information there.
Yeah, and you said at the beginning, my previous role was in the primary care space, and I know there's OTs in that space moving, working a lot with people with vocational rehab. And even in my role, vocational rehab wasn't in my job title, but I worked with people with learning disabilities, and a lot of the time my work you know, the things I was working with them on then led to looking to support into employment and things like that. So yeah.
No, it's really, really good to hear. And I suppose we haven't got any question in the chat, so please do have a think about what you might want to ask Aimee, or feel free to unmute. I suppose my question that I was thinking of, just around what maybe you see OTs kind of bring into this conversation, like how can we influence this? How do you see them kind of influencing this program?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question, and it's one that, like I said, this program's evolving on a daily basis, and even just thinking about presenting to you all today, you know, and thinking, well, if I was an OT in the audience, would I sign up to the Strategic Partnership Network, or would I sign up to the Lived Experience Network? And actually, I think, you know, you could very much share your voices in the Lived Experience Network survey, because we have said there that it's for supporters of disabled people as well. So, you know, you might share, have people you're working with now you can share with, but there might be people that maybe you've not longer got any contact with, but you remember their story because you remember their barriers, or you remember the thing that really helped them. And actually, if you could share that through the survey, you don't need to join the network, you can just provide us with the information. I think that would be so helpful. And I think what would be really interesting to know is, you know, if there's people in the room who are committed and feel passionate about this, the more I think about it, you know, the more I think we could have almost a third network, maybe not call it a network because we're getting lots of networks, but, you know, a group of occupational therapists who could really support us to look at what are the disabled people telling us, what are the organisations telling us, and actually with our OT hats on, what solutions can we think of, where are we best placed, what can we do to support that. And I think actually the more OTs we have in that conversation, the better. So yeah, answers on a postcard, please, because these are just my ideas. But, you know, we, like I say, we really want this program to be, you know, I've got some stories of people I've supported, and I just know everyone sitting in this room will have lots of stories too, and we just want to hear about them. And we also want to know, as occupational therapists, you know, where are we best placed? What can we do to support people? And what pilot schemes or initiatives, you know, we've got funding, which is amazing. I think so often that's a barrier for ourselves, isn't it, as OTs, to introduce initiatives and innovative ideas, but we have got funding with this project. Yeah, and I think any ways that we can think of those, lost my trail of thought now, but any ways that we can talk to other OTs about what's needed, and we can then evidence those new ideas, and hopefully inform, you know, the way that occupational therapy contributes to this area of work in the future.
That's really inspiring to hear. Thank you, Aimee. And I think you mentioned as well around, you know, occupational therapists themselves who have lived experience, and how valuable that could be within the network as well.
Yeah, there's so I'll be very honest with you. I've actually completed the survey myself, so I would consider myself in some of those parameters, and work in the sport and physical activity sector. So, you know, please as well, if you feel that personally you'd like to contribute, please do. Yeah, like I say, there's no limits really.
Thank you. Daisy, I can see you've got your hand up.
Hello, yeah, thank you. I've got a very boring logistical question. Is that I wanted to share a link to a project in the chat, but I can't. The chat says it's only available during the meeting, and I can't seem to talk in the chat. And I didn't know whether that was a me problem or whether that was a meeting problem, and I just wanted to say that out loud.
Yep.
But if not, if it's a me problem, I'll drop you an email, Aimee, with the link. It's just that I work in Derby in the East Midlands, and this is me speaking on behalf of another project that I have very little to do with, but MenCap run our active community in Derby and Nottingham, and they're doing quite a lot of work with people with learning disabilities. But what's interesting about that project is they're very consciously hiring people with learning disabilities and giving them paid positions. So if you're not already aware of that, I wanted to just flag that is happening in Derby, and I'm happy to introduce you to Matt is the name of the guy who's coordinating it in the city. So I'm sure he'd love to have a chat.
That would be brilliant, Daisy. Thank you. Yeah, and I think that's a really big point about this program, is that and something we wanted to I think it's one of the reasons we moved away from the term reinvent, because we know that there's really great stuff going on out there in these little pockets, and often, you know, they're, like you said, you'll know about it, but someone else won't. So it's really about hearing about those wonderful projects and how can we elevate them and make them happen in more areas. I do know we've had MenCap join the SPN, but I do also know that obviously there's lots of regional MenCap, so I don't know if it's, so please do share the details. If you want to do an introductory email, but yeah, that would be wonderful. And you know, any stories or contacts like that people have got, please do share. I did forget to say though that we are funded for just England, so unfortunately that doesn't include, you know, Wales, Scotland, and I'm not very good at geography. I want to say Ireland or Northern Ireland. Please apologise on my behalf for my rubbish geography, but yeah, it's just England, unfortunately, at this time.
That's fab. Thank you so much for sharing, Daisy, and thank you for bringing to our attention that the meeting chat isn't working quite as we would like at the moment. I have popped my email in the chat. If you want to share anything via email, I'm happy to post it into the chat if there's links that you think would be useful for everybody to see. Rebecca.
I just wanted to introduce myself as well. I think some of you will have already heard from me at Activity Alliance and Sports for Confidence. So I'm occupational therapist by background. So I used to work in the community learning disability team in Leeds. I work at the university now, but this kind of area is what sparked my research interest. So I'm currently looking at what I call active recreation for adults with learning disabilities, specifically thinking about how we increase activity for people, either in sort of like big day services or supported living homes, and getting them more active and moving away from this idea of, you know, exercise and diet, but actually thinking about what active recreation can bring skills wise. So I think I've already linked in with some of you, but I thought while I'm here, it's nice to kind of say hello, and I think I'm coming back to some future ones as well, but just say how difficult, you know, it's I feel for you because it's really difficult to accrue, isn't it, into sort of things, and you know, occupational therapists, paid carers, and you know, it's definitely something, you know, people are really motivated by it, aren't they? But it's definitely difficult to make them relationships. So something like this has been great to just come along and see other people today as well. So thank you for this.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. I think I recently followed you actually, because that very much rings a bell. Yeah, your study. Yeah, no, it's very true. And have, you know, one of our worries is how are we going to recruit enough people? But I think what we have talked about is also having a two-stage recruitment. So I'm a big believer in, when we're talking about inequalities and things like that, is looking around and saying, right, who's not here? Who's not in the room? Why aren't they here? Where are they? So there'll very much be that two-stage recruitment where we look at who we've got, demographics and things like that, and then looking at how we can do outreach work to really reach those people, because you know, we've got lots of contacts in the physical and activity sector, so we will likely hear from people who are involved, but actually we really want to hear from the people furthest away as well. So yeah, thank you, Rebecca.
Brilliant, thank you.
That's fab. Thanks, Rebecca. And Claire.
Sorry, I put my hand up and now I'm not sure if the fire alarm is about to go off, so I'm sorry.
Oh no,
don't worry. It's lovely to see you.
Yeah,
before
you
you might need to run away.
So yeah, I love this, Aimee. I've already filled out the survey with my email address. So yeah, so I've put in my running club I'm involved with as part of that, because I'm really interested in how we can kind of be more accessible. But not just in terms of that as a sport, just in terms of, we do things with juniors which aren't kind of running, but they're really just about getting people moving and having fun with it. So but yeah, also working with men with learning disabilities in my day job now, which has changed, Lisa, and sort of how really interested in how we can bring more and more physical activity into that space as well. So yeah, I love it. Daisy, it's not just you with the chat, and also Liz from Sport for Confidence is already linked in with Matt. I'm sure that I did that because I'm sure that I emailed Liz and Matt together at some point because of the Nottinghamshire connection and the project that Liz had done with the NHS in Nottinghamshire. So Liz might be somewhere there with Matt already, but the more connections the better, isn't it? So
yeah, I'd much rather be told about a connection twice than never.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Thank you, Claire. That sounds fabulous. Thank you.
And just a quick plug as well, Claire, actually, for those of you who maybe weren't part of the network last summer, Claire very kindly came and presented some of her research last summer. So please do take a look back on the YouTube channel and have a quick look, because her presentation was great around learning disability services. Although it sounds like I need to catch up with Claire because her job might have changed now, which is very exciting. Thanks, Claire. Daisy.
Sorry. Can I just clarify the call of kind of people filling in the survey wanting to join the network? Are you happy for me to share that onward? So we have a ambassador network in Derby City. There's about 150 people in Derby who are bothered about helping people be active. We have a newsletter that goes out to them each week. Are you happy for me to chuck a link in that and a bit more about the project? Would that be?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Daisy. If you'd like me to put something together, I can send you an email.
That would
just
be
with kind of our key headlines. Why don't we do that? Why don't we connect?
I'll drop you an email, and then if you reply back to that, and then it goes out every Monday, so whenever you want to.
Oh, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. I feel really selfish now that you're all just giving me all these contacts, but
no, that's perfect. And all of this, I feel like this is what OTs do. We connect in and like improve things through our ability to connect across systems. So I feel like this is a great opportunity for Aimee to tell us about the great work that's going on and see how we can support it. So.
And hopefully I can come back in 6 months and give you an update on where we are, and like I say, please do reach out to me if you are passionate about this, because there's, like I say, the program is such a blank page at the moment, and if you've got an idea that we think yes, we can do that, bring it to us, because we want this to be led by lived experience, and we want it to be innovative and creative, so which I think we're all great at doing as OTs. So just bombard me with your ideas and emails and I will get back to you.
Fabulous. Do we have any more questions for Aimee at all? Feel free to pop them in the chat if you think of anything, or pop your hand up. If not, thank you so much, Aimee, for your presentation. Really
thank you for having me. I'm sorry if my voice was a bit shaky. It was a bit stressful coming on with my laptop not working 2 minutes before, but I've eased into it. So thank you.
No, that's fabulous.